Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast, and today it's a very special video. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of the recent announcement of the casting of Frankenstein, which is of course the Supermassive and Behaviour Interactive collab game. Now, so let's just get straight into the deets, shall we? So the thing you're going to want to know is about the release date. We know that is in 2024, and we know that it's going to be launching on next-gen consoles and PC. And it's going to be a classic single-player horror interactive experience that we know from Supermassive Games, which is really good. I mean, for me personally, I'm not familiar with the Dead by Daylight universe at all, which I'm sure Liam's going to shed some light on later on in this video. But yeah, I mean, let's just get straight into the premise, shall we? So, the shadow of Frank Stone looms over Cedar Hills, a town forever altered by his violent past. As a group of young friends are about to discover, Stone's blood-soaked legacy cuts deep, leaving scars across families, generations, and the very fabric of reality itself. Now, we are going to do a little bit of trailer analysis later in this video, but there's a couple of things that I just wanted to raise before we do get into that, as maybe some early theories even maybe as to what the plot's going to be. So the first thing that I noticed was the name Frank Stone. And it's funny because this actually, I did read a Eurogamer article, just sort of to get some more details about it. And in that article, the person made the exact same comment. And it was basically saying that Frank Stone sounds like Frankenstein. Like, sort of slightly anyway. So obviously, because I studied Frankenstein at college, I've got a good knowledge on the story. And it made me think about what the potential plot could be. So obviously, because I've just told you the premise, the shadow of Frank Stone, obviously presumably saying that he's dead at this point. I was thinking perhaps this plot could be some sort of like reanimated corpse. Sort of like, again, tying into Frankenstein. So maybe he's come back somehow. Maybe with the funny lights in the sky, it's somehow powered by something supernatural. And I just think it'd be quite interesting as well because of the fact it's called the casting of Frank Stone, which again suggests something, when I hear that, I think of like back in the day when, you used to cast stone at people in terms of like blaming them or punishing them for something. That maybe that this Frank Stone, maybe he is a killer, but maybe there's more to the plot than meets the eye. Maybe there is something else. Maybe there's a classic supermassive twist in there. And it's not all what it's cracked up to be in terms of, this Frank Stone being out and out villain. But yeah, we'll have to see. Who knows at this point? It's just some early theories, mate. But what do you think on all that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what you meant about casting, the killer that we have here, Frank Stone, looks very much like a typical blacksmith. Now, like, I used to play Dead by Daylight a lot back in the day. There's a doctor killer, there's a hag, there's a spirit, there's just so many variety. So, like, it could just be that, like, we've got ourselves a blacksmith here. Very similar to, he looks quite similar to the Trapper, and I have noticed a few people in Reddit forums mention, is it Trapper related? So, like, we'll have to keep a close eye on that one. But yeah, casting just could be, like, kind of black smith kind of casting. So, like, we'll have to see on that one. It's funny, now, when I looked at the trailer, it just very much looked like a new Dead by Daylight chapter. It very much looked like a multiplayer game. Like, Dead by Daylight, whenever there's a new killer, they always, like, bring out a new trailer where, like, you'll have a little hint as to what the killer might bring to the table. And it very much just looks like a Dead by Daylight game. Like, we've got your classic 4 survivors that are going to go out and fix gens, and we have a killer haunting them. Now, if you look at the trailer, there are a massive essence of the Dead by Daylight world. We have the hook, which the killers, put survivors on to kill them. You've got, like, I didn't spot it, but I saw apparently someone saw a generator. I'll have to go back and find that. And then you've got the entity, which is the ultimate villain, which is kind of like, the tentacle claw-looking things from, like, the purple sky. That's all the entity, so it's very heavily Dead by Daylight. And I looked at this trailer thinking, is this just another Dead by Daylight chapter, but Supermassive Games are helping publish or helping with some kind of, like, development or something? Because we know Supermassive Games have done that in the past and are doing that. If you take Little Nightmares 3, for example, they're very much steering away from, like, what they do. Until Dawn, The Quarry, the DPA games. But we do know that they do release other games, and, like, they're not just, story-based, like game company. They do so much stuff. They're actually a very varied company. So I was thinking like, okay, yeah, maybe this is a behavior game and Supermassive Games are just slightly in the background. But it wasn't until, like we read on from the description in the YouTube video, Jack, that you were reading it. This is actually a single player game. Now that really surprised me. Now it almost looks like both entities really are combining. And, it says, for example, experience a never before seen look at the wider world of Dead by Daylight. So it is almost like in the Dead by Daylight universe still, hence why we have all those nods. But filled with spine-chilling twists. This dark original tale is certain to haunt you long after it's over. So yeah, like it mentions things like the cinematic storytelling, bringing emotion, immersion, intensity, which like you wouldn't really get from a Dead by Daylight game. So I always wondered what this game would be. Is it kind of like Dead by Daylight helping out Supermassive Games, or like vice versa, like I sort of mentioned when I saw the trailer? But it almost sounds like they are really meeting like a halfway medium. And I'm just so excited as to what this is going to bring. Like, it's still very vague, the trailer. It's very style heavy. I have to highlight as well how fantastic the song is, David Kushner, Daylight. It works so well, and it honestly looks like a cinematic masterpiece. But yeah, I'm just like, my eyebrows are raised, and whatever the fuck this game is, I'm definitely buying it.
Oh, same here, 100%. I've got to admit, I was in a sort of similar camp when I was thinking before that I heard that there was a collab. I was thinking, yeah, like it might be sort of a more of a Dead by Daylight behaviour-driven thing, and Supermassive, like you say, are in a supervisory role. The fact, though, that we are still going to get, your classic, interactive sort of adventure with Supermassive, with choices and life and death and that sort of thing, but just set in a different universe, I'm totally down for that. There was one thing I was going to ask you, mate, is that this Frank Stone, I'm guessing this is a new character, right? This isn't an existing character in the universe.
Yeah, Frank Stone he isn't a prior character. Like I said, he seems very similar to a trapper who, like, Dead by Daylight's poster boy, the very first killer, who works in, like, a factory, I guess, and, like, there's this whole story about him and his dad, but the killer's name's called, like, Evan McMillan, so it's got nothing to do with the McMillan family. And the Cedar Hills, like, factory or steel mill, it's got nothing to do with that. So, yeah, like, very intriguing. But, yeah, like, this is something they're completely creating from the ground up together.
Oh, sweet. And another thing I noticed from the trailer as well, it's just, I don't know whether you picked this up, mate, but like, because obviously you're probably more, well, in fact, you are definitely more of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre like fan. But like, did you get that vibe from it straight away? Like, I've only seen one or two of the films, but for some reason, like, that immediately come to mind. And I think because of the fact that it's a Dead by Daylight universe, it's a killer, it's some, haunted teens or whatever, it just felt like that fitted naturally.
It did. I mean, Dead by Daylight in general is very Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspired. Like, every map has a basement in, and that is something that is staple for Leatherface. Leatherface has a basement where he'll hook a survivor on it, and, he's got all his weapons on the wall, That is, like, very much Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and, so, like, yeah, like, you could argue it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the trailer, but you could also argue it's just very Dead by Daylight as well.
But yeah, that's all we've got for you in this video, guys. Do definitely check out our channel page, though. We have put a poll up which basically asks whether we think that the announcement of the casting of Frank Stone means that Directive 8020 won't be coming out next year in 2024, or whether there'll be two games. Do put your votes rather, and your comments in the comments section, and we're going to make a follow-up video to that very shortly. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the breakdown and the early theories, and we will see you next time.
Take care, guys. See you soon.